Joining us now is wildlife biologist and TV host Forrest Galante, who has decades of experience with apex predators. Forrest, thank you for coming on tonight.
Thank you.
This is beyond devastating. What was the first thing that went through your mind when you heard about Ryan's death?
You know, it's just so sad, and I can tell you without any doubt that the tiger did not attack him maliciously or attack him viciously. It was simply a mistake. The problem is when you're dealing with, a 500-pound wild cat, one little mistake, whether it's an agitation, similar to what you get with your house cat, can be fatal. The difference with your house cat is it's a little scratch, and with the tiger, it's just a poorly placed bite that can end someone like Ryan's life. So it really is an unfortunate event.
Ryan handled this tiger since it was a cub. They were apparently very close. You have experience with these animals close up. How unpredictable are they?
A cat's a cat at the end of the day, Hannah. And I for any cat owners out there, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Your cat can be super sweet and fun, and you can be tickling him on the tummy, and then he can just swipe at you out of agitation or aggravation or just out of sheer boredom. And like I said before, the difference is when a tiger does that, it can be absolutely fatal. So it doesn't even matter if you raise them from a cub or you pull them out of the wild. I'm certain this tiger didn't want to kill Ryan. It was just a cat being a cat. And that variable of unpredictability that large cats exhibit, and the fact that that predator instinct and that behavior is there, means that you can never truly trust them. Whether it's this or the old Vegas performers, I'm blanking on their names, but these accidents happen around these big cats, and it is the reason why so many institutions are against hands-on work with them.
Yeah, you're talking about Siegfried and Freud, and Freud,
That's
you're right.
it.
I completely, you're right. And that case, of course, happened a few years ago. And Ryan's father is explaining it the same way. He said it looked like a love bite. What happens to this tiger now? Typically in these situations.
It's a great question. I'm not sure what the state of Oklahoma does in this situation because each state has its own laws. Typically, when an animal kills a handler, it is euthanized. Now, in this case, I believe a lot of these tigers were rescued, whether that was from Joe Exotic or other locations. So this tiger is already a problem child, if you will. So whether or not the tiger gets euthanized is hard to say. The unfortunate thing about it is it's not the tiger's fault. While the tiger may have, as his father said, given him a love bite that ultimately was just poorly placed and ended Ryan's life, it was just a cat being a cat. So I'm not sure what will ultimately happen to this animal or any of the other animals at his facility, but hopefully if they are rehomed, they're rehomed to places where perhaps there's a little bit more hands-off nature, because ultimately, even though I do think the cats tend to enjoy that behavioral enrichment and that connection with people when they've been hand-raised, it never really is safe.
I mean, look at the size of that animal. It's absolutely incredible. They weigh close to 500 pounds. You mentioned Tiger King. Joe Exotic wrote on Facebook, he wrote this: "We don't need further laws to ban tigers because of this, because you can get killed doing just about anything." Would you agree with that?
I mean, yes, but if you decide to hold a metal pole up in a lightning storm, you're more likely to get struck by lightning. You know what I mean? If you're playing with a tiger, you're more likely to be killed by a tiger. I think that law and regulation is already relatively loose in the state of Oklahoma around big cat ownership, which is why this preserve was there, why Joe Exotic's preserve was there. It's really, at the end of the day, not about the laws, but about people making good choices. And I'm not saying that Ryan made a poor choice, but he obviously had intimate contact with these animals, and you can see what the outcome was.
And Forrest, you yourself have dealt with really big, intimidating animals. I'm sure you've had some scary situations you found yourself in.
Many, but I typically work with wild animals, not captive hand-reared animals. And at the end of the day, and I'm sure Ryan would feel the same way, and I'm sure his father feels the same way, it's never the animal's fault. It was Ryan who chose to go in and interact with that animal. It's me who chooses to dart or collar or tag or work with predators. And if something happens, it's because we have put ourselves in those situations, whether that's for love of the big animal or to try and save it or to try and hunt it, whatever it happens to be. And it really is not the animal's fault. That tiger did not want to attack Ryan. Do you know what I mean? Ryan went into his enclosure and was working with him, and this was the very unfortunate outcome. So it doesn't matter what line of dangerous predator work you're in. If you're working with them, there are huge risks involved.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.